maybe the path may change as well?
Yeah, I mean, the path, it's tough because there's not really one specific path to becoming a supervisor. You can talk to everyone who is a supervisor, and they'll tell you everyone will have a different story. Some people happened into it. Other people, have been, going to school or clearly working towards it. So there's a myriad different ways you can get into it. But yeah, honestly, one of the best ways would be to have an internship or work as an assistant or coordinator for a music supervisor who's either independent or has a company where they might have a structure for an intern. And I know that that's not feasible for everyone, but if it is what you want to do and that opportunity comes up, that's something that might, you might have a hard time passing that up because, those opportunities don't always come up. And yeah, that's really the best way to get the direct, direct learning experience on what music supervision is. Other than that, yeah, there's plenty of, third-party pitching companies who represent artists for Sync specifically, and sometimes they're also hiring interns or assistants. And there you can, depending on what they allow their interns to do and whatever, but you can get an idea of what it's like to pitch to a music supervisor, and you can also work on potentially learning about, master and sync licenses and what goes into licensing a song for sync in film and TV and advertising as well, and video games. That those are other places where you can, not necessarily, you're not really doing the job of a music supervisor, but you're working directly with them and really getting to learn a lot of what a supervisor does. And that's another way to get some good hands-on experience. It's just tough right now because, a lot of these places are, even the pitching companies, are slower right now because, I've heard from a few of them, a lot of them, most of their business comes from film and TV. And, right now those things are slowed down, immensely. There's some that are starting to get back up a little bit, but throughout this, ads have still been going, and video games and also animated projects have been going as well. So, those companies might still be in a position where they want to hire an assistant or have an internship program going. But it's hard to say right now. It's been, it's a little tough for everyone. And so I know a lot of places aren't really looking, but I know people are prepping to have like internship programs once things get back up and running.
Would you say that going forward, like you mentioned that you were in music and like I mentioned, I did music when I was younger. And I guess my question is, have you ever done it like when you were getting into it from the perspective of pitching something you composed or wrote to somebody just to kind of see, like you mentioned, get that experience? And then why did you go the avenue of the placing as opposed to composing?
I never, I guess I never really, pitched anything that I've written. I was in a band, in college with friends and, we wrote songs and stuff, but we never got too far into like professionally producing things. I did take some producing recorded music classes in grad school, but I was never like super into fully diving into, producing my own stuff or anything, or really getting into the, technical aspects of using, being an engineer or all that stuff that you need to kind of like produce your own stuff at home. So I never really got into composing or writing music that was going to be, suitable for sync on film and TV projects. So I never really went that route and was really more about, trying to do the creative placing of music in film and TV. Because, I had through college, a friend of mine and I, we went on a choir tour one of the years we were in college, and we took our cameras and filmed all this stuff and made a big like a hour and a half long documentary of this trip. And that was one of the times where we weren't doing, it was just like an internal thing for us to do for fun, and we weren't doing any clearance or anything. So this was totally just an exercise in like, oh man, if I could pick any song at all, like how would I put it into this movie and edit the song in and everything. And that was really a moment where I'm like, oh man, I really love doing this. I'm like placing these songs, and we're like, I was also, editing the movie. It was just me and my friends. So we were also, cutting music specifically to scenes, or cutting scenes specifically to a song. And that was really fun for me, and really helped to solidify like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Yeah, so I never really was trying to pitch any of my music because it wasn't as good. It wasn't good as other people's, so I didn't think it would be worth it.
Well, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Different routes, I guess. Um, with I guess my questions are for the fact that like you said, there's a lot of like uncertainty right now in the world,
Mhm.
but not only that in Hollywood. So it's kind of like
Mhm.
the avenues to go. Uh, there were many different avenues, but kind of I feel like a lot of people might be thinking out there that may listen to this. What should I do, even if it's not even music supervision? Is it like what it maybe taking a class, maybe not taking a class? So I guess I was just kind of trying to get from like all different angles of maybe possibly pursuing something. But along those lines, I kind of want to talk about, you mentioned that Chop Shop, right, was the company you were working with,
Yep.
and got your start in, but they've since dismantled, you said, and you have now started your own company. So would you like to talk a little bit about how transitioning to your own with all the projects you're working on that you have listed? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was at Chop Shop with Alex Patsavas for a little over 10 years. And you know, just recently she accepted an amazing position over at Netflix, working in the, kind of heading and uh, putting together the TV music department over there. And so she decided to close down Chop Shop. And so a bunch of us, the few of us that were there, all kind of broke off and to do our own thing. And so I am going off as an independent supervisor now on my own. And I just recently, at the start of this month, kicked off Monster Sector Music Supervision, the name of my company. Pretty excited about it. uh, yeah, it's been interesting so far. I never expected to be running my own business, honestly. So there was a lot to learn about, setting up a business and everything you need to do with that. And so I've been kind of doing that over this month, getting everything prepared. And now I'm kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern here while we wait for production to start up. First thing coming up for me is going to be Another Life season 2, which is on Netflix. An awesome sci-fi show that was really fun to work on the first season, and I'm really excited to, have it coming back this season, and really just be my first thing as Monster Sector. It's going to be really fun, and I'm just dying to get started on it. You know, it's just like it's just frustrating. I was we were still working on projects at Chop Shop all the way till the end of June, because there were a few things that had been filmed, and we were also wrapping up. Like I was still wrapping up Lucifer season 5, and I was working on Council of Dads on NBC, and now it's been like about a month now, and I haven't been doing any. I haven't had any real work to do for a project, and so I'm like, I miss like working on a scene and reaching out, being able to reach out to artists and saying like, hey, we landed your song, or like we'd like to request your track. So I missed that a little bit, and even though it's only been 1 month, so I'm like kind of chomping at the bit to get to get back into it. But hopefully things will be ramping back up next month or towards the end of next month. So that's what I'm hoping. And yeah, so I've got Another Life season 2, and then Lucifer is having a season 6 coming after that. So that'll be coming as well. And yeah, we've got Lucifer season 5 premiering August 21st. I believe it is the first half of it. So there's going to be 8 episodes coming out that day, and then more coming later. Pretty exciting.
It is exciting. Okay, so for all my friends that I've met, because we're all fans of Lucifer, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask a couple questions. So I know that the storyline is that, you know, obviously Lucifer's character